Denny J Show.
Zvanga zviri downta up tauraitirwe nyaya dzacho dzese narrative ndaichidwe kana mchida kutipisa deep ndaipidwe make you spill a bean if you know what I mean hande
It's time!
Ladies and gentlemen, it's the Denny J Show. We're back. What's up, guys? Welcome to a special episode of the Denny J Show. You know,
Yeah.
Kalaf Ganesha. And I think we know why it's special. Right? Like state of the podcast address. You know, like how the presidents do state of the nation. State of the podcast. Nash is in the building. Got a couple of our friends also in the building today. So, so it's a good day to do a show. Marco Media is in the building. Brian K is in the building. You know, what's up, Nash?
What's good, Denny? Denny, Big Shabangu.
Shit. How many comments are we on now? What are we talking about? What are we looking at?
Right now, it's 1,000. I think, no, it's 2,000.
2,000.
It's 2,000. Very, very amazing comments.
Yeah. So out of those 2,000 comments, which ones were in support of Denny J?
So imagine out of 2,000 comments,
Yeah.
6 comments said you did a good job.
That's a good percentage. I don't know what percentage is that? 0.00 what?
Yeah, so, but I mean, was it a good show? Of course it was a good show.
Mm-hmm.
I think people also get a bit biased.
Yeah.
Because when we bring in guests, we have to ask questions.
Yeah.
Somehow, maybe I was opening up my feelings, but I thought you asked all the right questions.
Yeah. So I think we must make people understand how we first of all come up with guests. You know, so Gift Ostallos Siziba is the spokesperson of the Triple C. So it was my idea to bring him on the show because I'm a big fan of his. You know, very charismatic young man, and his future is definitely very bright. So I said to the team, how about we bring this guy? And the guys were not really optimistic, or they were not really up to doing it, for the simple reason that if we are to do an opposition leader or whatever, it can become very dicey for us. We are a neutral platform, but there have a number of considerations we have to make when we bring these people, because clearly there are a lot of people, even people in leadership, who watch our show. So most of the guys didn't want that, because then it would seem like we're giving the opposition a platform, right? So then my argument was like, well, it's not going to be a big deal if we can balance the show. Hold on. Let's just check on the sound. Come and hear this. We don't want to mess it up. Let's see. Yeah, we can do it. We'll keep running. It's fine. We just want to make sure the sound is good. Are we good? Like, yeah. So are we good? The sound is good? Yeah.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah. So like I was saying, I mean, we were looking at the comments, right? And most of them are like attacking the person, Denny J, right? Like they're attacking me for how I handle that.
Yeah.
So what I need people to understand is, like I was explaining, we brought out Gift, and I said, let's have Gift on the show. People were saying no, but it's not safe for us to have an opposition politician and that sort of thing. And I said, like, okay, all we have to do is just balance it. We can pretty much have anyone on the show for as long as the show is balanced, right? So that when people in the regime see the episode, is balanced, right? We don't want to be those people who are giving a platform to the opposition, and therefore we're an opposition podcast and that sort of thing. So to strike that balance is not easy. There are two ways you can do it. Say we wanted to interview Hopewell or any other controversial figure who might be a problem for us in terms of, our safety. Let me put it that way. So if we wanted to interview someone like Gift, it wouldn't be a big deal if we were to get someone from the other side, right? To come on the show, and then we do that show where we have a Zanu PF guy and a Triple C guy. But of course, then it becomes hectic. There's a lot of organization to do that. It means we have to get two big people and get them on the set at the same time. It's hectic. It's a bit more complicated. So the other way you can do it is you can give pushback, right? So we bring in an opposition leader, but then we have to research, right, points of contention with the others, right? And then we bring that balance. So we opted for the latter, right? So we said, okay, we'll bring Gift to the show. All we have to do is make sure that we give him pushback, right? So there are lots of things that a lot of people question about Triple C. So we go with that, right? So like a devil's advocate type thing, which is what we decided to do. And then we got Gift in the studio. But what I realized from the comments, I think people are frustrated. People are dejected. People are upset. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So the first thing that they got from what we were trying to do in that episode was, he's Zanu PF. He was given a brown envelope. Badarwa. Denny J exposed himself. All that sort of stuff. You know, we might look like we're very brave when we do this podcast, but political considerations are taken into account all the time. If you watch how we do stuff, we consider, because, for me, when we do this podcast, me and Nash and Bacon, whatever, we do it because we're passionate about podcasting, right? For us, it's not a livelihood. We don't make money from doing the podcast, but we do it because it's something we love to do. But when we bring important guests, I think it's very important that these guests don't come here just for a platform to campaign. We must be able to push them and make them accountable to the public, right? People need to know, what these guys are about and where they're taking this and that sort of thing. So in doing that, we had I had to provide the pushback, and Nash, Bako, and Lords said, okay, maybe because I get into character, right?
No. Don't say I don't speak on my behalf. I think you went too hard on this guest.
Yeah.
This platform is a platform where people come and chill.
Yeah.
And even after the interview, I said, you know what, I think you went way, way too much. Because previously we had Super, and that was a very good interview.
Yeah.
But then on this one, for some weird reason, I think maybe because you're drinking by yourself.
Yeah. I think for me, I'm like I'm an emotional debater, right? Like, so if I get into character, I go really deep, because maybe I think what also fascinates me is that by me asking these tough questions, I was immediately labeled a Zanu PF operator, right? Why couldn't they label me a disgruntled Triple C supporter?
Okay.
Why do I have to be Zanu PF if I'm doing the pushback? Why can't I be that guy who supported the party from day one and he sees that it's going nowhere, and then that's where the frustration is coming from? Why can't I be that guy?
No, because you see, a disgruntled Triple C, your body language, your facials, you were just pulling a run G, right?
Yeah, sure. Clearly, 2,000 comments are saying that, yeah?
Yeah, from what people are saying in the comments.
Yeah.
You know what? We actually don't care what your party is, whether you are Zanu PF supporter or Triple C supporter. But when you come on this platform and you are the Denny J and your body language is off and you look like you're disgruntled, like you said.
Yeah. Or I look like I've been sent.
Yeah, you look like you've been sent.
Yeah, I get that, because I was, even when I was playing it back, I was so like, oh, okay, I went in. Like, I'm a very emotional person. So when I go in, I go in. And part of the reason why that was is I'll explain it to you. Like, you see, I would ask Gift questions. but Gift is a politician, right? So I would ask him, like the question about Chamisa being next in line. That was a trick question. I asked him that question because I wanted to gauge his credibility, to say, like, is he going to accept? Because it's a known fact that Chamisa was not next in line, right? So by me asking him, I wasn't really asking him because I wanted to know, because I already know Chamisa was not in line. But I was asking him to check on his credibility, to say, is he someone who's going to say, yeah, but he was not, but he was the popular person in the party. He was not the next in line, but if you look at how I pressed him, and then he eventually kind of mentioned it, that you must read the mood of the people. Did you hear him when he was talking about that? Yeah. That if we tried to push anyone else besides a Chamisa ascendancy, there was going to be problems, which is a good point. It makes sense, but he never answered the question, right? But he later on kind of answered it that way.
I think, the thing with Gift, the Panawinki D, Gift, Chamisa, and Christianity. Those are things that you should not question.
Yeah, you don't question those people. So, what I then noticed is, like, we asked a lot of very important questions which were never answered, right? But the bulk of the people united on a point of hate, right? For them, this guy was going hard on their favorite politician, right? Must have been sent by the regime, right? So then the rallying point was, no, this guy is Zanu PF, this guy is Zanu PF. So it was no longer about what we were talking about, because if you were to look at the various questions I asked them, right, there were lots of questions which we never got answers to, lots of them, and I think my temperament in that interview is what got people to start rallying against the presenter than analyzing what the issues were.
Yeah, because you're pulling a shabango on the guy.
Yeah, I know. But what people must understand is that we cannot just bring an opposition politician to the podcast. This is why we don't or never used to do politics, right? Because achieving that balance where the people in leadership see our show and they're like, okay, are these guys anti us? And the opposition looking at the other way. But what we managed to achieve, I'll tell you that with this interview, is we managed to pacify Zanu PF. We managed to look out for Triple C because their man got to have his word and he got to say stuff. So we achieved that balance in terms of party politics, right? Zanu PF is happy we pushed back. Triple C is happy that guy got to speak. But then I'm collateral damage.
Yeah.
Denny J gets all the flag, but we've balanced the equation. Because for me, it's important that me and my team are safe. If you understand what I'm saying. And people think that we are so G, we can say all sorts of shit. It's a lie. We can't. It's a facade, right? We try our best. In terms of anything else that's not politics, we're really going hard. But in terms of politics, we have to think. We have to think about what we're doing and how it looks. The aesthetics are important. And so we manage the aesthetics. And how we manage it is sometimes I come out looking like an asshole. But look, what's important is that we got an important politician in the studio. He got to say what he felt. I got to ask him questions, Most of them were never answered. But we got to ask the questions, And I think people must get out of the habit of loving politicians in such a way that they are not open to their politicians being put to task and being questioned, Because this is the problem that we have. People fall in love with characters and they forget that, we need to have checks and balances with our leaders. We need to ask them the hard questions. Gift is so cool. I mean, even after that interview, he called me and we were speaking about it and we just said, there's nothing like bad publicity. He gets it, right? And so when we smile and we laugh about it, but the people get emotional. And this is why I'm saying I think people are just overly very angry, they're just upset about how things are. And I get it.
Denny, I have one question.
Yeah.
If you could go back, would there be anything you would change in the interview?
No, in terms of questions and how I did, I probably would just change my temperament because I'm, like I said, I'm very emotional when I get into things and I get into character and I really go at it. So I would change that because when people looked at me, they were like, this guy hates Ostallos with a passion, or this guy hates Chamisa with a passion. And they couldn't be further from the truth. But when I come here and I do this, I want to do it properly. I want us to get answers. And when people come and watch our show, they must be like, I got to know something. I got to know something that I didn't. And we achieved that with that interview, because if you look at how I was pushing him, he ended up telling us stuff that he's never said. He told us about the meeting in Mavazua, where they tried to discuss resigning, and then some of their comrades were like, no, we're not resigning. Also the same with how Ngonzora was evicted from Harvest House. And all those insights wouldn't have been possible if we had just said to Gift, come speak. You know what I'm saying? I had to push him, and I pushed him, and by pushing him, we achieved results. So the only thing I would change is, like, people were complaining about interjecting. Why are you not letting him speak? Why are you not letting him speak? If you go to that interview and you look, that interview is like 2 hours, 31 minutes, right? I interjected him maybe 3-4 times. Right?
No, maybe more.
Okay, let's put it 5.
Maybe 10.
Okay, 10.
Yeah.
Okay, 10 times, right? So
12.
now if you really look at a 2 hour, 31 minute interview, 2 hours he was speaking uninterrupted. I want you to go back and watch that interview. 2 hours he was flowing. But on important points which I felt needed interjection and needed, because this is a podcast. I think people need to understand that this is a podcast, it's not conventional TV. Because it's my show, right? If I think you're dodging a question, I can interdict. I can stop you. Those are some of the perks of the show being my show. If I ask you a question, I actually put light because it's a Denny J show. It's Denny J Nash and Becky show. Sakachi dictatorship. Let me explain it to you, Nash. Nash. My point is, and you've watched Piers Morgan, right? You've watched Candace. You've watched Hard Talk. You've watched Steven Sucker, right? There are moments where it degenerates and people think it's a debate or people are about to beat each other up. But it's not, right? It's a podcast. If I call you and I ask you a simple question like, was Chamisa next in line? The answer is yes or no, right? But if you're a politician and you're dealing with a politician, you'll say, what you don't understand is that, the intrinsicies of democracy and politics. You understand? That's what politicians do. But what that does to us is it makes our episodes 5 hours long. You know what I'm saying? If I let you run and run and run, you're gonna make my episode 5 hours. My viewers are complaining we don't have data.
No, our viewers.
Yeah, our viewers, Nash.
Thank you.
Right. You see, our viewers are complaining, right?
Yeah.
So I cannot have a politician go dilly-dally around a question. So I will interdict. And I need people to understand that when they watch the Denny J show, things like that are going to happen. So this is why I cannot apologize for what we did.
So I was going to figure apologize.
No, I'm not apologizing. But what I will do is I will explain. The only thing I'll apologize for is my temperament. Because I got in too deep and then I went in hard and then people started believing with no Munatu regime, which is bad because then they stopped analyzing, what we were doing because we did a hell of a job in pushing him, right? And after the show, he was even like, yo, that was hard. But you want to put politicians in that position where you really push them, right? So that they get so you get to tell which ones are the genuine politicians and which ones are just in it for, for the money or whatever, And I think with that interview we got it. But the problem was 2,000 comments. Denny J Dofo, Denny J Angaite Zana Madungwe, Ninda Holy 10. It became personal, right? But important questions like Chamisa is no longer with Triple C. He's now an individual. How does it work if he's trying to negotiate something? If he were to negotiate a GNU with the current government, how would it work? He doesn't have any MPs in parliament. And for you to be a minister, you have to have a parliamentary seat. How does it work? He's no longer an opposition leader, but he's a losing presidential candidate.
No, but
it weakens his hand.
But
do you get what I'm saying, Nash?
No, but remember he said that they're working on something and he just can't say it on the air.
No, but this is a simple question. Like, how would it work? He explained it. He tried to explain it. If you remember, he did try to explain it, and he said, it's not about positions, it's not about whatever. You know what I'm saying? But these are the questions that the people on the street want to know. They're asking these sort of questions. Most of the questions I was asking, people are trying to understand, you know. So I think people must learn to separate their emotions from the issues, right? Yes, Ostallos is loved by the people. Yes, Chamisa is loved by the people, you know. But when they come on this show, don't expect us to just chill while they, you know, they campaign. Because it's not a campaigning platform. You know, when you come here, we have to ask you the hard questions. And even if it means I come out looking like Shabangu or I come out looking like who's the spokesman of Zanu PF, it doesn't matter. To me, what matters is that we've put up a good show, we've pressed the politician, and people got to find out more.
But so, okay, why is your vibe changing? We have a Zanu PF guy, Super comes. It's a very good interview, right?
Yeah.
We are flowing. It's a good vibe, which is what we want the show to be about.
Yeah.
But then comes a Triple C guy, then BP Aguirre.
Yeah, that's a good question. So the difference between Super and Ostallos is Ostallos was, and I think is still the spokesperson for Chamisa. He was the spokesperson for Triple C. So the questions that I'm going to ask a spokesperson of a party are very different from one I'm going to ask a regular politician, right? So Super's story is so different because Super was a reporter who became a minister. So his story is interesting on its own, just his rise from being a mere reporter at ZBC to becoming the minister of ICT. So someone like Super, you just have to ask him one question and then he's rolling, he's going. Ostallos is a very young guy. He still has a very bright future ahead of him, right? He's 31. In terms of history, we did ask him, you know, how he started and that sort of thing, and he explained. But when I called him and I said I wanted him to the show, it was primarily to ask him about Triple C and Chamisa. This is why even if you look at the title of that episode, it was about him and his perspective as the spokesperson of that movement and the way forward. So the line of questioning was always going to be different. No, it's like Fortune Chassis. When we bring Fortune Chassis, it's not even, I think the other opposition guy we brought was the mayor.
No, but what I'm saying is, right?
Jacob Mafume.
Yeah, we have, whether you're going to ask hard questions or not, that's fine. But it's the manner in which you're asking him. You're very hostile. So we don't have, no one has a problem with you asking hard questions.
Yeah.
Hard questions should be asked, but then you're coming off very hostile and you're cutting him.
Yeah, I think the whole cutting him, like I explained to you, Ostallos does not answer a question yes or no.
He's a politician.
Exactly. So if I ask you a question and you're going to dilly-dally, it's going to affect my time in terms of how long the episode is.
No, but we don't have a problem with time yet.
Yeah, but I do. Because remember, I have a list of questions, right? So I'm going to ask you a trick question like, was Chamisa next in line? The simple answer to that, if you had to ask anybody, he was not. We all know that. It's a matter of public knowledge. So when I ask you that, and then you try and defend it, I'm going to interject and say, but my brother, we know he was not next in line. But because he's a politician, he's going to keep going at it. So my mistake in that instance was not knowing when to stop. I should have just realized that he's not going to answer that question because then it messes up everything in terms of what he's going to say in trying to defend Chamisa. So he was never going to give me the right answer as a politician. He was going to dilly-dally. And then I think at that point, that's where I should have just let it go. So and I didn't. So that's why I was talking about the temperament. Yes.
So filling station.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that I'm saying. But you know, it comes with this sort of stuff. When we are having these sort of debates, because people are saying, is it an interview or is it an interrogation? It can be all on a podcast. No, in a podcast, it can be an interrogation, it can be an interview, it can be all those things. But the good thing about it is that I ask all my guests. I tell them, I say to them, look, I'm going to go hard on you. It's not personal, but once the cameras go on, I go into character. I'm going to go at you, right? And I think I went at him so believable to the viewers that they were convinced this guy is a hater. He's a Zanu PF agent. He was given a brown envelope. But those people who watch our show know, you know, that at times we go hard. Like, I want you to understand, like, for example, the interview we had with Sniper. I went hard on Sniper than most other musicians that have been on the show, you know. Because for me, when I looked at a Sniper interview, even when we first talked about wanting to have him on the show. I was like, this interview, for it to make an impact, it must have views, right? How are we going to make people want to watch the Sniper interview? Right. So I spoke to him and I said to you, look, Sniper, we're going to do this interview. I have to go hard on you. But when I go hard on you, it's going to be good TV and people are going to watch the show. And they watch the show. You understand what I'm saying? Sniper is approaching 80,000 views. No, I'm choosing who I go hard at for strategic reasons.
Okay.
I will go hard on Ostallos because Ostallos has so many things that he needs to answer. So I'll go hard on him. I'll go hard on Sniper because as far as people are concerned, Sniper is finished. And then why are they going to watch the show? But I'm going to make sure I question him in such a way that people want to watch him. And they watch him. It's like the art of the podcast.
But you should also mention that he was actually very happy after the show.
Yes, he was. Because after that, he started, getting that relevance that he deserves. He's a very talented artist, and he's a very good friend of ours. He's a very good friend of mine personally. But when you look at that interview, it's like I hate him. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And so I think when we do these sort of things, people take it to heart, right? Like if I go at Ostallos, because Ostallos is a charming young man, and there is a big bully on a podcast, trying to bully the young, charismatic guy. So people are bound to go with Ostallos. Yeah. Like this guy is bullying him. But when I'm with Ostallos and I'm talking to him even before and after the show, he's like, that was good. That was good. You gave me a run for my money. Yeah. And we smile about it and we walk. But the interview is there. People see it. They see this mean bully on this young guy. Yeah. So and that's all they see.
It was definitely David and Goliath.
Yeah, and that's all they see. So I wish people could see beyond, it's like, when we said Winky D, Chamisa, Ostallos, you don't mess with those people. We've talked about Winky D several times. The minute you just say anything about Winky D, or say you don't like a song, they don't want you to not like a song, So it kind of came out that way with regards to the Ostallos interview, where people don't want their favorite politicians to be put in a corner like that, And then, it's an attack. Denny Naufunda, Zero, Mandinya Disamkuro, Madeo, all sorts. I see these comments.
Do these comments affect you?
I wouldn't say, but of course, when we do the show, we're not used to getting 2,000 negative comments. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So, I'm going to look and say, how, but I was doing it for the viewers. I wanted them to
get the answers.
To get the answers, right? But then, because of the temperament and how I came out like I'm so against these cats. But I'm not,
You're just pushing back.
I'm pushing back, and why I must push back is because I don't want, for purposes of Nash, Becky, Bako Media, we don't want the regime to think we're anti-government. And that's the truth. And this is why the shots button was never used.
Because normally you press it, but on this...
But think about it. Somebody says, the president is going around with motorcades and opening balls, and I'm supposed to go... I can do it now because it's not happening in real time, right? And then I go, I can't, right? I can't for obvious reasons, and people must understand, because they think we're martyrs. We're willing to go for the people's movement and do also the shit. We're business people, right?
But also,
we're
people,
not trying to start fights with the establishment.
That we are pro-Zimbabwe.
Yeah.
We are not anti-anything.
Yeah.
We are pro-Zim on this platform. So we cater to everyone.
Yeah. Yeah, so this strategy where we push back, people must understand, especially people who watch our show, they must understand that things like that are going to happen. Denny J is going to interdict people from time to time. He's going to interject. He's going to do exactly what Piers Morgan does.
Okay, so when
being an asshole. Sometimes I have to be an asshole.
All right, so in the future we get a Zanu PF guy. This same energy, are you going to also...
Yeah, well, clearly the temperament is going to go because, I shouldn't get too emotional, but all the hard questions we're going to ask. And we've already, reached out to the spokesperson of Zanu PF, Nick Mangwana. We would like him on the show. We've also reached out to the spokesman of Zanu PF as a party, and hopefully one of those people are going to come to the show, and then we're going to be vindicated, our show is not for sensitive viewers. And I think if you look at our disclaimers, we're the only show that actually has a not for sensitive viewers, because we're gonna go off. Sometimes we're gonna go off, and then we're gonna.
I want you to go off on Zanu PF people when they come.
Yeah.
I don't want it to flow.
Okay, all right.
Because then you look very biased.
Yeah, but look at Super's interview, right? Super is a different vibe compared to Ostallos. Super.
No, but we've had a couple of Zanu PF people.
Yeah. Look, Fortune Chassis is a vibe. Temba Maliskwa is a vibe, right?
So, but this is why it looks very biased then.
Yeah. But what about Jacob Mafume? We put him to task. We asked hard questions. But how I relate with a guest is not up to me. You understand what I'm saying? Like, if I get a guest who's tense, who's all about business, we're going to do business, right? If I get a guest like Super, who's willing to have a drink with me, who's willing to chill, who's willing to tell me about stories that he's never told anybody, you know what I'm saying? We engage. There's nothing to interrupt, you know? I can't interrupt Super when he's speaking because he's telling me his life story. What's there to interject? It's his life story. I don't know much about his life story. It's like you and me, we're getting to hear it for the first time. So the vibe is always going to be different. Look at the Tammy Moore interview versus the Sniper interview, or the Nati O interview versus the Sniper interview. They're different because the vibes that these different guests bring is different. The energies are different, so it will always be different. But with Gift is like, it's all about business, you know. He's the spokesperson of a party. He worries about his image, so he's not going to have a drink with me on the show. Well, he doesn't drink, but you know, he comes. He wants to know what you want to find out about the party. He's ready to answer questions and so on. Except when it comes to difficult questions, he goes round around those. You know, questions like, is Chamisa not a dictator? You know what I'm saying? He's gonna say no, he's not. You know, but when you look in you know, when all these like Ruhanya, what's the lecturer and all these other people, even Trevor Ngube, you know, he's questioned. You know, the leadership attributes of Chamisa. People have questioned this narrative of, is he a dictator, is he not? So we wanted insights from Gift. He kind of answered that one and mentioned a few incidents where he was, you know, painting him to be a good leader, which is fine. But, you know, questions like, if you failed with Triple C, how are you going to make it with another party? These are questions that people want to know, right?
No, but you made it look like if you failed twice, you should go home and give up.
No.
But then, HK, what's his name? The guy from Zambia, the president.
Yeah.
He tried 9 times.
But it's a question.
Yeah.
It's a question. I'm saying to you, if you failed twice, why must I have faith in you?
No, we keep trying.
Yes, and then he answered, right? But it's a question that's important, right? So he answered that one. And then why is your leader always tweeting? Why is he not on the ground? It's a question that people on the street want to know. People are always saying, but there's no leadership. He's always tweeting, whatever. So I asked those questions, right? And there's so many of them. There's so many of them. You know, what happened to the much-touted system that was supposed to counter rigging? There was a system. This time around, they're not going to be able to rig, and and all sorts of stuff. You know, Chamisa is saying he's on record saying it won't happen. But I don't need to tell you what happened.
Yeah.
Right.
Also clarify on your comment. You said the people have moved on.
Yeah. Okay. So
People haven't moved on.
Again, Nash. You see, like, because people came in there and they say this Denny J guy has been sent by the regime. These questions that he's asking a hoster, right? Like, what does he mean we've moved on? Look, Nash. If I ask you, okay, you're married, right? When was the last time you and your wife sat down and said, I wonder where that story of the contestation of elections with Chamisa is now. I'm worried. Where is it? Who amongst our viewers has sat down with their loved one or whatever and said, I wonder when SADC is going to respond to that contestation? You understand? So when I say people have moved on, that's what I meant. I didn't mean people have moved on from economic hardships, or people have moved on from unemployment, or from inflation, or from this economy, which the struggling masses are finding difficulties in just staying afloat. That's not what I meant. But again, context, right? If people have decided this is an NPF guy and he's saying he's moved on, then it means he's saying we've moved on in that regard. No. Ordinary people are no longer looking at when SADC is going to answer the contestation. That's the truth, right? It's the truth, it's the painful truth. Nobody is waking up and trying to find out in the paper, SADC, responded. No, That's the truth. Not that they are happy with what happened or that they accept what happened or whatever. But people still have to feed their families, right? So this is a political thing now. The politicians are waiting on each other, whatever. So and from the looks of it, I don't think anything is going to happen with that regard. I honestly don't think so. I don't know, Nash, if you think that Sadak is going to come and say, let's do a rerun or let's do whatever. I don't see it happening. And why I don't see it happening is because I've seen this script so many times. People have gone to elections, they've had so much hope, and then their hope is shattered, and then they go to the next election, they have hope, their hope is shattered. This is the sentiment. So when Denny J say, I've moved on, he's not saying, no, we moved on, we're happy. Or no. We're not looking forward to that response from Sarah because as far as we're concerned, I don't think anything is going to come off that. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
You know. And so, I don't know, man. So, I don't know, like, so it's important that people realize that...
Were you drinking too much that day?
No.
This particular day?
I just had a glass or two. But, you know, I'm very emotional. You know, I'm an emotional person. Like, sometimes when I do rants even on my show, I will. No, I don't know.
My show. Hey, I'm cool with this.
Okay.
Hey,
on our show. Nash.
My, all of a sudden.
Nash. But, you know, you see, you're making me look bad, but you're my accomplice, right? We're supposed to do this thing together. Yeah. My point, you know, is very
our
simple.
point.
Oh,
our
see,
point.
You see what I'm saying? But the comments are shouting at me. They're not shouting at Nash.
No, I'm also getting some.
No, you're getting out of the 2,000, maybe 2, 3, 4, or 5 people.
I'm getting some. Yeah.
1,995 is on me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I gotta address you. You're clean. Yeah. I gotta address it from my perspective. You know. So I don't know. You know. So I felt like we had to bring this out there, and you know, if people are going to watch or not watch our show, they must understand what we are about.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not going to have a guest here and then come and then they just come and campaign on my show or on our show, Nash. You know, I'm not. You know, if somebody comes to the show, people must know what to expect. They must know that this guy is going to be held to account, right? It must not be one of those shows where you come and then you come and talk about your what you're doing and what you intend to do and so on. We're going to push back.
Yeah. I'm with you on that. I think also people should understand, like we always said, this show is not for sensitive viewers.
Yeah. You know.
Kanogero sensitive, what my feelings, Zima. Yeah.
So I think this episode was good for the opposition. They got to say what they needed to say. It was good for the regime because we didn't look like we have been sent by the opposition. You understand?
Yeah.
So we managed to strike that balance. We managed to get the regime off our back. We managed to get the opposition to say what they needed to say, and everybody's happy. The only person who's unhappy is Denny J, because Denny J is a Zanu PF operative. He was given a brown envelope. He's stupid. He didn't get to answer. Go back to the episode and see how many of the actual questions that people wanted to know actually got to get answered. You know, and people didn't mind because it's the bully. We took down the bully. The bully got bullied, and Ostallos is more intelligent. It was never about who's more intelligent. You understand? Because Ostallos is a student of, what did he call it?
A student of social...
What did he call it, Bago? He's a student of social science? Yeah, social ideology, political science. He's a very learned young man, you know. But when it comes to the show, I'm just interested in the bread and butter issues and what people really want to know from their politicians, and that's it. So that's what we will always ask. So, you know, the interjections, expect a lot of those. We're going to do them. We're going to interject. We're going to, you know, when we feel a guest is not answering the question, I'm going to stop them, and then I'm going to tell them to answer the question, you know, and a whole lot of other stuff, you know. But if you're sensitive, I don't know, the show might not be for you, but if you're somebody who is objective and wants to really get to the bottom of things, we're going to try and get you there. You know. Yeah. And I don't know, what did I leave out, man? You know, you had 2,000 people just going at you. You forget everything. But I think, so we answered we answered, you know, and I was just saying, like, the pushback, you know, the pushback that I gave him was not entirely bad because...
You know, you've used pushback a lot, huh?
Yeah. This is a pushback episode.
That's your new word now.
Yeah,
Pushback.
this is a pushback episode. So the meeting at Mavazua wouldn't have come out if I hadn't pushed him. How Ngonzora was escorted wouldn't come out, right? And the whole thing, like, it would have been nice if he had answered the question of Chamisa's hand being weakened and stuff, and just trying to explain how the dynamics would work now that he is no longer an opposition party leader. He's a losing presidential candidate going into any discussion. You know, that's what he is. He's no longer the fiery opposition leader who garnered so many seats and that sort of thing. So it was sad for me, for opposition politics, for him to leave his party. But Gift explained what happened, why it had to happen that way, and that sort of thing. You know, so yeah. So if I clarified anything, is there anything I've left out?
Yeah, I think we're okay for now. I think next time we have these type of people, maybe you should be drinking coffee.
No, they should be drinking with me, like super. Yeah. We must be having a drink.
Maybe you can't handle your liquor.
Oh, it's a good thing, right? The shots button today is working.
At least it's working today.
It's working.
I even asked today.
Yeah. So there's sometimes where it works and sometimes where it don't work, but you guys get it. Yeah. Yeah, so that's all. I think we had to do this rushed episode just to clear things out. And well, look, if it makes you happy, you can keep shouting at me in the comment section. But we're not going to stop giving the people perspective and bringing important people so that we can really push back on them.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you guys. Bago Media, did I leave anything? Yeah, we love you. Keep watching, like, subscribe, turn on notifications, buy our merchandise, right? We're not as bad as we look. It's for TV. All right, cool.
The Denny J Show. Zvanga zviri down ta up tauraitinzwe nyaya dzacho dzese narrative ndaichidwe kana mchida kutipisa deep ndaipidwe make you spill a bean if you know what